Hi, I'm Jody Clock from Clock Timeless Pets, and Ernie and I are here with Mercy Vienna's Hospice on behalf of hosting Pet Education Day. Today there will be many local experts who are here sharing their knowledge about how to keep your pet healthy through its life all the way through the end of life care or that final care for your pet.
What I'm going to talk about, and it doesn't necessarily have to, it can go any direction you feel like nudging me with questions. But what I want to talk about is the various stages of what you have to plan ahead on a dog's life. That you can't just train a puppy and say, I'm done. You have to plan ahead because at some point your dog perhaps is going to be deaf, blind, lame, unable to get up and down stairs. If you've not taught your dog planning on something like that, you're going to have a dog that's panicked or restricted in its movement even. So currently I'm dealing with a dog that is 11 years old. Something's gravely wrong with him. I probably should come and talk to you. But what I've done in the past is I've taught him that I will pick you up occasionally. I can't pick all of him because he's 80 pounds. So I pick up the front half, put it in the back of my car, pick up the back half, put it in my car. He's been taught, don't panic when somebody picks you up half at a time. Turn you around tight. I have to wash his butt off because he is sick. So he will stand still when I am grooming him. That's not something you train for a puppy, really. Actually, even better than sitting still for grooming is my dogs, as they get older, I teach them lay down on their side for grooming so it doesn't move arthritic bones around, so they have to lay still for whatever I'm doing, the combing, the trimming, the whatever. For bathing, I don't have to wash all of a dog when he's sick. I just wash the buns. So they've been taught stand halfway in a bathtub. They can do this. And a lot of people don't realize that you need to plan this ahead because if you wait too long, as one of my students did, his first St. Bernard, he couldn't convince her to get inside of a vehicle by walking up a ramp. She was too decrepit to get into the ramp, in or out of a car. So she ended up being at home and going for little walks down the street and back because she couldn't do the steps down the basement, she couldn't go upstairs anymore, she couldn't do all of that. What he did now with this new St. Bernard that he has, he's taught her as a puppy, run up and down ramps, do steps. Whether or not he wanted her in the basement, he taught her steps. So she didn't panic about things when it became painful. I've taught my dogs hand signals, light signals, 2 flashes of flood lights mean, or headlights or a flashlight, all mean the same thing. Even a room. If my dog's sleeping, I go bip bip with a lamp. They look at me and then they come. So I don't actually have to wake up anybody if I want to call, say, my dog is sleeping with somebody else in the bedroom. I go bip bip with a hallway light, my dog gets out of the bed and comes. This is all in preparation for a dog that is losing his sight, losing his hearing, losing whatever abilities. So I'm planning ahead on those things, knowing I plan on keeping my dog his entire life. So I know it's going to happen at some point, and I train them for that contingency further down the road. So puppies, we would train them to housebreaking and that. The other thing you need to do is train your dog to go to the bathroom on a command. it just blows people away. You've heard the story before.
I have.
My neighbor, 85-year-old guy, was standing talking to me one day, and my 3 dogs were frolicking around me, and this German Shepherd, Golden Retriever, and Boston Terrier. They're running around in circles around me, and I said, guys, it's time for you to go in the house, because I was sick of them running up to him, and he's not a big dog fan, so he's doing this. So this guy, go to the house. And they started running to the house, and I said, wait a minute, did you all go hurry up? A hurry up is their command to go. They stopped right where they were, separated 6 feet apart, because they don't pee on each other, and they peed. And I said, now get to the house. And they all ran over and laid by the door. This is the way I train my dogs to go to the bathroom on a command is every time, you can do this anytime, every time the dog is actually in the act of bathrooming, you say the word. And you know what? That's training all the way down the line. I call it serendipitous dog training. If you say what they're doing at the moment they're doing it, down, good dog. Whatever. If you keep saying that word, just cheerfully, not as an order, just in an everyday tone. I really hate the snarly voice training. Down, wrong dog. There's room for that at some point when the dog goes, you know what, I'm a teenager and I don't care. But you say the magic word. Suggested words, mine is hurry up, but you can say do your thing. Don't say potty if you have grandchildren, because they're going to run for the potty and your dog's going to go that way. Say a friend of mine uses business, get to business. Another one, this one blew me out of the water. She said, do your number 1, and the dog peed, and then she said, now number 2, and the dog pooped. Wow. Even I fainted on that one. I did not know a dog is capable of being ordered to poop.
Yeah.
Pee, yeah, but poop, that was neat.
It was potty and poop, pooping, and
Yeah.
so they, like, when we would go outside and,
Yep.
here,
Yep.
it's really
There's
beneficial.
actually a different command for going to the door as opposed to actually squatting. But if you say it for 3 days, you say it while the dog is in the act, which means you're going to have to be out there with the dog, and we're back to the go outside with your dog. You go outside with the dog, you stand there and wait for the dog to start going, you say hurry up or whatever phrase you choose. After 3 days, when you've said that, the dog will be programmed to go when you say. I've actually had my foot peed on when I wasn't paying attention. The puppy was running around my ankle, and I said, hey, you need to go, hurry. And all of a sudden, my foot was wet because he had peed on my foot. He did it when I told him to do it. Instead of letting him have a little more room out there, no, he peed on my foot. So it's my fault. Good boy, thank you. I thank you.
Is your loved one's health failing? Do they need the aid and attendance of other people for their daily living activities? Were they a veteran? If so, it is possible that they are eligible for a special pension called Aid and Attendance through the Veterans Administration that will assist in paying for their health care needs. There are 4 eligibility factors to consider, and you can find out if your loved one is eligible for any of these benefits just by making a phone call to elder law attorney Anna Duggins. She can be reached at 231-722-5415, or you can email her at aud@parmenterlaw.com.
Which would you rather do, this or this? We thought so. For the jobs nobody likes to do, Batka's cleaning service.
Today's Family Dentistry, Dr. Harvey Conbray, located at 340 Seminole Road in Muskegon. We cater to coloreds. For further information, call 231-737-2273 or 231-737-4511.
Remarkably easy, and all dogs can be trained at any age.
Wow.
And the neat thing is, you can always institute further training anytime you feel like, and change it slightly too. You need to tweak it a little bit, do it. I've trained all three of my dogs. This sounds, I really am a little bit of a control freak around my dogs. They're not allowed to eat until I touch the dish and say eat. I say the dog's name and eat. So nobody gets in the wrong dish, because right now the elderly one's eating a special diet. I put my hand there and say eat. I also keep the pecking order in the household from being disrupted or jostled. The other thing is, from the very start, when I've touched the dish, that also means a grandchild can go over there and tap the dish and I don't have to worry about one of those moments, because somebody had the gall to stick their hand in the wrong spot at the wrong moment. The lifelong training also keeps your dog's mind active. I'm always training my dogs fresh things. Whenever I find something new, I was just telling your associate a little bit ago that I've changed training from don't touch, because that tends to put children off when you say don't touch to your dog, and they jerk back because they thought you were talking to them instead of the dog. I've started saying manners instead. Manners has so much more class. So I don't know if we talked about that in your class. No, it's time for you to change with your dog. Sully needs a new lesson.
He probably does.
Telling a dog manners, and I've switched all three of my dogs now to manners. I've also switched, instead of saying leave the room, and keep in mind this is an 11-year-old dog that learned these two things recently. One of my dogs is 7, which is, for his breed, is heading toward old also, and then my young one. But I've also taught them, instead of just go on, because I caught my grandkids bellowing, go on, get out of here, bad dog. Oh, that sounds really bad. They cracked up when I said, our new word for the dogs to leave the room is shoo-shoo. Shoo-shoo. And they were laughing, and they would chase the dog around and chase the dog out of the room, shoo-shoo, and chase the dog to the next room, shoo-shoo, and just keep chasing the dog around. This is an 11-year-old dog that just learned the shoo-shoo thing. I kept the same hand signal. I just changed the word, and the dog, it just dominoes along, one thing after another. So if everybody realized how easy training is for a dog, I wouldn't be employed. Really?
I don't know, you give great tips.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're very
But yeah, I'm kind of the encyclopedia of dog techniques.
Very
But
easy.
the training, basic thought of training a dog is, as long as you're training them new, fresh things regularly, you will have a dog that is willing to learn more and more and more. And I had one of my dogs had a vocabulary of 50 different commands. Now, yes, granted, he had 4 different commands for jump, because I couldn't remember which one it was I had taught the last time. So I changed it from jump to hop to over to a hand signal to flick up on something. Oh, he has 5 actually. This is jump up too.
What were you saying about your manners?
The manners, I changed it from go on or leave it alone to manners. And this is also, the 11-year-old dog just learned this, manners. Manners sounds better, and it doesn't offend people. If my dog walked over to you and nudged you and I said, hey Monty, manners, he'd pull his head away. By the way, I can give you a quick lesson on this one. Put a treat in your hand, anything at all. Put a piece of food that your dog likes. Put it in your hand. The dog goes to grab it, you close your hand and say manners. Open your hand again. The dog goes for it again, you say manners. Close your hand again. At the point where the dog either looks away from the food, or better yet, looks right up in your face and says, oops, what's happening here? And then you say, good, okay. And you give the dog a treat. It is so cool to have little kids do this, because then the oatmeal cookie doesn't disappear out of the kid's hand or whatever, because they just have to say manners. The dog just say, oh, of course. I'm thinking about adding a signal to that too. I had a deaf dog for 4 years. He became deaf at 10 years old. I had him for 4 more years. That's where I started getting the idea that I have to train younger than when the crisis happens with the losing hearing, and this dog had lost half his sight besides. But I taught him to stop doing things by the hand chop. And I realized it can be this too. Dogs do not know up and down.
As
They
long
don't
as you're
get that at all.
consistent. Yeah.
As long as you use a relatively, and people have had arguments with me about whether a dog should, you should give left hand signals or right hand signals.
Yeah.
come on, your dog's going to say, I'm sorry, that was a left hand signal, I don't have to sit. No. Yes, dogs are intelligent if you need them to differentiate. They're intelligent enough, but why would you bother?
It's like they want to get hit.
For expert auto body repair, call Ramos & Sons Auto Body, 739-7240. Call 739-7240.
Whether you're a first-time jewelry browser looking for an extraordinary engagement ring, a couple celebrating your 60th anniversary, or you're just looking to treat yourself or mark an important event, Crothheim & Swanson Gemworks is proud to offer custom-made selections handcrafted in America. Silver, fine-colored gems, diamonds, and gold jewelry, as well as strands of lustrous quality pearls. From ring and watch appraisals to in-house jewelry design and repair, ring sizing, remounting, to a complete rebuilding, you can rely on them to keep your old favorites looking new. K&S Gemworks, Muskegon's community jeweler. Memories made one at a time.
Traffic is a parking lot, so just go ahead and eat dinner without me, okay? Yeah, love you too. Hello, Jimmy John's? You ordered Jimmy John's? Wow, that was fast. I would have been here sooner, but this traffic stinks.
Jimmy John's. Order online at jimmyjohns.com.
Question, yes.
How did you teach the lights?
The lights?
Yeah.
Really simply, you take a flashlight, not a laser.
Okay.
Never use a laser with a dog. Bad idea. Dogs may have to have Prozac after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Little LED, the one that has maybe 5 little light bulbs in it, just a little one. And do it twice, hand the dog a treat. Do it twice, hand the dog a treat. Do it twice, hand the dog a treat. And then eventually, step back, do it twice. And you don't have to shine at the dog's face, it's shine it at. They have amazing peripheral vision. They can see where my hand is. If I were a dog, I can see my hand. So you don't have to do the in the eye thing. You don't have to be close to your dog even. Just 2 little blips. And you can do 2 knocks on the window if your dog is going blind. You do 2 knocks on the window, the dog will respond to knocks.
Okay.
I've done all 3, the command, come, and the lights, and the because it's so easy, just do that. And then, doesn't matter who. I can hear my grandchild go over there, go bip bip, and the dogs come running out of the backyard with the flashlight or the floodlights.
Okay.
At first you train with just a simple spot, just the little light, 2 flashes. It can be on the floor, flash the light on the floor. The dog sees it, you say come, give the dog a treat, or wave the treat, whichever. Something you need to do with treat training is cheat the dog about every 4th, 5th, or 6th time. Don't be giving the treat every time. Dogs get entitlement attitudes then. You need them to say, oops, I did not win the scratch-off lottery, I'll buy another one. They need to know that, because otherwise you have this dog that's satiated and says,
I'm not
"What do
working
I
on
care?
giving that treats, yeah.
Yeah, I'm done, it's good, there's a good treats, but I don't need a whole bucket of them. But they like it if you cheat them regularly. They actually train better. And so, yeah, the light thing is, if your dog already knows come, you say come along with that, and then it is just like changing a command. I did, at first it was, go on, shoo shoo, and then it was shoo shoo, go on the next day, and then it's just plain shoo shoo. They still know go on. I mean, good grief, one of them's known it for 11 years. So they also know the signal. If I'm talking on the phone, I will not interrupt a conversation with a client to tell my dog to leave the room. I just tap somebody on the head and do this. The head tap thing, I've got currently a deaf dog in my class. I've taught an awful lot of deaf or blind dogs in class. The owner will tap the dog on the forehead. The dog is trained to look. gets a treat, tap the dog on the forehead, look, gets a treat, or she stomps on the floor, the dog feels the vibration, looks at her, she gives the dog a treat, or just a pat, anything. And eventually she'll be able to walk into the room, stomp her foot, the dog will look at her, she can throw a signal at the dog. You can do the same with a hearing dog too, preparing. There are certain breeds that are notorious for going deaf. Dalmatians, boxers, like golden retrievers, hearing impaired. There's a bunch of different ones that tend to have, that go deaf, or at least hearing impaired. So you plan ahead on those things. Goldens are also big on cataracts, so you watch out for that stuff. But you plan ahead. It's something you have to plan because you plan on having your dog until it dies. So have it there. The flashlight thing. Any other questions?
Is there a way to advise guests not to be overly affectionate with dogs in terms of really throwing them off?
You know, my favorite line to anybody that comes in my house is, my dogs are invisible for the first 10 minutes you're in my house. Do not talk to my dog, don't touch my dog, don't greet my dog. I do it regularly. This sounds kind of cold, but when I walk in the house, it is not, there's my little lovable darling. Because I taught my dog to start a party when the door opens, and then it makes it tough for me when I have guests over. When I have guests over, I will tell people, and that you've heard it in class too, I'm sure. I've said that one's invisible because that one pees when it gets excited. So it's invisible for the first 10 minutes of playtime. When people come in then, and I say, my dog's invisible, don't touch my dog. If I know it's one of those people that are not going to pay any attention to me, my dog is going to be on a leash tied to the chair where I'm going to be at. Or if I'm not going to be in one spot, my dog is tied on a leash and I'm walking around making the dog lay down next to me until everybody's calm. And then I say, okay, now you can greet the dog. Now that what you're doing is, whatever you give your dog that it enjoys at the moment of whatever it's doing is a reward. So if you're having people come in the house, your dog is acting like a crazy animal, and you walk in, or they walk in and do the, hi, how you doing? You just rewarded the dog for acting like a complete maniac. Instead, if you walk in the house, you pay no attention to your dog until it calms down and goes, well, damn, I must be invisible. And they lay down, and you say, oh, there's my dog. I actually have a phrase that makes my dogs all giggly. It's, hey, I have dogs. And they start bouncing around because they know that's, finally Mary's gonna notice you guys.
How do you train your husband to do that?
Pardon?
I will do that, but my husband will not listen to me, and he does it anyway.
That's probably one of the biggest problems you come across, is
Yeah.
that the whole family is not on the same page.
Yeah, it's consistent. I can't get the consistency.
The one I've had people, I've said to people when I have, it's usually an 8-year-old kid, a boy usually. I know everything and mom and dad know nothing, that attitude. What I usually say is, when somebody starts complaining to me about their dog being a complete fool to them, say, why don't you copy the people that the dog behaves well for? And then your dog will behave that way to you too. So if he complains to somebody about that, that's how you do it, because you don't know anything as far as he's concerned. You're not the expert. Sorry.
He loves it. He thinks that, he says you're going to kill his personality.
No. He can have his personality 15 minutes after he gets home.
Go together to dog obedience.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
I recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Go to Mary.
The one thing you might do is say, it might be okay for the dog to do this to you, but when we get a 2-year-old kid walking in here and the dog acts like that to that kid, why would the dog say, oh, this person's only this tall and that person's this big, why shouldn't I treat the people alike?
Right.
But if you say, it's all very well that you roughhouse with the dog, but how is that dog going to differentiate between you and a kid that's scared to death of them, and the dog's going to start assuming that roughhousing is acceptable? You teach a dog, I call it the least common denominator. You train the dog to deal with people like they're all frail, delicate people with walkers and crutches. If you teach them to treat people that way, there's always room to roughhouse my guys do, but they do it on a command. And then, and years ago when I got married to my husband, the attitude my husband had, their entire family, was dogs belong behind the barn on a chain. Oh. And I was horrified when I would come home and see all 3 of my dogs sitting outside. I walk in the house and go, what the? Yeah. Those are my house pets. They are not back behind the barn dogs. And his idea, because I had a Doberman puppy at the time, he started roughhousing with her, and she started getting all surly and snarly and Dobermanish. And I did okay, you wait till she's 1.5 years old, and then you play with roughhouse with her. I didn't tell him that at that point. She'll be so well trained, she will never roughhouse with you ever. But what he did is, because he really couldn't stick with that 1.5 year window, instead I said, you can play with her rough, but for every 10 seconds of rough play, she has to lay down and stay for 1 minute. So it's 10 seconds of crazies, 1 minute of down stay. Okay, 10 seconds more crazy. Well, that dog was the most amazing dog, because you could make her nuts, and then she'd slam to the ground and lay there just twitching, waiting for the next place thing to start. And you would actually hear her elbows crack on the wood floors, because she would lay down because she knew the game was done in 10 seconds. And she'd hit the deck, and then he'd go, yay! And she'd fly back up again. She was taught that pattern over and over, and there's a compromise, I would say. It's still not a very healthy one, but in the very least, maybe negotiate, don't say anything to the dog for the first 10 minutes you walk in the house, because a toddler's gonna come in, or if his parents are delicate, that'd be a nice incentive, unless he hates his parents.
My name is Bruce Langline. I'm a veterinarian, and this is my dog Pace. With the troubled economy, it can be difficult to afford veterinary services. That's why we have a mobile veterinary clinic called the Spay Neuter Express. We offer low-cost spays and neuters for dogs and cats, and we also offer vaccinations, routine testing, and parasite control. You can find us online at www.spayneuterexpress.com.
The Trophy House and Jones Sports have been servicing the area for almost 50 years. We handle all team sports, uniforms, and equipment, and have a full custom design service for your athletic and corporate logos. We have trophies, plaques, and awards for all occasions. We engrave, embroider, and do silk screening. We have stock t-shirts, sweatshirts, both hoodies and crews, sports shirts, jackets, and specialize in corporate promotional products. The Trophy House and Jones Sports, helping you promote you.
Established in 1973 by Paul M. Lattice, Lattice & Hoops Law Offices has been a multi-service law firm specializing in accident cases, personal injury, wrongful death, Social Security disability, divorce, probate and wills, and real estate. When it comes to choosing the right attorney for your legal needs, don't choose out of town, choose local legal counsel. It really pays. It's experience when it counts. It's Lattice & Hoops Law Offices.
Getting this family together is like herding cats.
Simplifying things for families is a priority here at Grange Insurance. We offer a variety of policies through Grange Independent Agent.
Your partner in protection.
There's the preventable problems that you want to try to prevent. To me, it starts with good nutrition and keeping the pounds off. That's going to go a long way, and you start that out when they're young by getting them on a good quality dog food. I typically tell people, stay away from most of what you're going to pick up in the grocery store. Go to a good pet store. Go to somebody who's going to have good quality food. Stay away from the cheap ingredients, corn, chicken byproducts, meat, all, because in a lot of those foods, there's ingredients that are not eligible to be made into human food because of potential health risks. So I tend to steer people away from that. The big companies, they're really not worried about that. They're worried about how cheap can we make this food, how inexpensive can we make this food, and how much can we charge for it. So I typically steer people away from all of the big companies like Purina, Science Diet, and IAMS. I steer them towards smaller individual vendors, probably somewhat similar to what you would sell. And also because the companies are smaller, They're not worried about giving a dividend to their stockholders. That's not even a thing. And they know that people that are going to buy their food are going to be looking for the right kinds of things. So I steer people toward, chicken meal, where beef, venison, or whatever, and go with, for a carbohydrate, go with brown rice or oatmeal, things like that. Good carbohydrates. That's going to keep them fuller longer, keep the pounds off. So it should always start with a good quality food, and that starts out when you're a puppy. Obviously, when you have a puppy, you're going to go through what your veterinarian says as far as all the routine vaccinations and getting them spayed or neutered. That's a for sure thing, having all their stool checks, and you don't know about your heartworm pills and your flea medication. That's all there. But a lot of people, they go into the pet store and they go and they say, there are so many aisles of pet food, I don't even know where to begin to look. And they start to ask the clerk, and sometimes the clerks may know what they're talking about, but a lot of times they're just big box employees. They don't really know a lot about it, so you want to go with a smaller vendor, smaller store that's going to stand behind the product and is really taking time to put a good product on their shelf. So keeping the pounds off, that's a huge first thing. You want to be able to feel and count the ribs on their sides. And then when you look at them from the top, you want them to see a little waist in there. And when you look at them from the side, you want to see a little bit of a round-up, tucked-up area. So that's the big thing. Stay away from all your commercial pepperoni, bacon strips, all the commercial junk you're going to get at the store. I mean, what makes food taste good? Sugar, salt, and fat. That's what makes people food taste good. It's the same thing with dog food. So stay away from those types of things. You're going to get a lot better, little treats, beef jerky treats that you have access to, that I have access to, or even I tell people, I said, I would rather have you go get a chicken breast, use your George Foreman grill, put it on the grill, cut it up in pieces no bigger than your fingernail, and put it in a Tupperware container. I'd rather see people do that for treats than buy anything from the store. So that's one thing. They're not going to put on the pounds. For my dogs, what I do is they can pretty much have as much fruits and vegetables as they want. I really don't care. And they fight me for it for dinner. So I can feel good because I like to give them treats too. I'm a treater. I mean, there are people that treat and there are people that don't. Well, I'm guilty as charged. My dogs fight me for my steamed cabbage. I don't care. Let them have all they want. I'm not putting pounds on them. So as far as that's your safety net, all that matters is that the dog likes the treat. So the big thing is, first of all, keep the pounds off. That's going to be a big thing. It's going to help keep the arthritis away, and that starts right out at puppyhood. The only other thing, sometimes when you buy a commercial dog food, if your pet is spayed or neutered, they've shown that those dogs require 1/3 less calories than what's listed on the bag. So if you have a dog food that says this dog for your weight going to get 3 cups a day, your dog is spayed or neutered, cut it down to 2. It's like a dog getting fixed. It's like a person turning 30. You can have all the pizza and beer you want in your 20s, and you get in your 30s and you're like, where'd this other stuff come from? So cut that food back a little bit. So that's going to be huge, because if you don't, they're going to gain pounds. And that's what most veterinarians don't tell their clients. Oh, now that your pet's neutered, you have to cut their calories. And a year later, people's complaint is, I'm never having another dog fixed. I got my last one fixed and got fat. And so that's one of the big reasons why. So it starts with good quality food. Teeth are another real big issue, as you're experiencing. Typically, smaller dogs have a lot worse dental problems than big dogs. So that's going to be a huge issue there as well. If your dogs will let you brush their teeth, that's great. Getting your dog with your toothbrush and your toothpaste, and hey Bob, grab the dog, put him on the dryer. Okay, you open the mouth and I'm going to scrub. That's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You're going to scare your dog. So I typically tell people, here's a toothpaste. Just squeeze it out of the tube first. Let your dog lick it as a treat. Let him get used to it. Now take your brush and put it on the brush. Push the toothpaste into the brush, and now just hold it. They're going to lick off what they can lick off, When they want to get the stuff in the middle, they're going to have to chew on it. The first obstacle you have to get over is you have to get your dog used to the sensation of the bristles. They're not used to that. So if you start when they're a puppy, that's the perfect time because they want to put everything in their mouth anyway. So, but if you have an older dog, you can do it. It just takes several steps. Let them chew on the brush and then start to play tug of war with it a little bit. They're going to chew on it as time goes on. Do it every day. Several weeks later to a month later, now you may be able to reach up by the lip and then just go scrub, scrub, scrub on one of the canine teeth. And then back off a little bit and move it to the other side and pick up, scrub, scrub, scrub a little bit and do that a little bit. And then that's going to be a lot better, successful way. And I can't tell you how many people will come back and say, if you told me I would have been brushing my dog's teeth a month ago, I would have told you were nuts. My dog loves it. It just depends on how you do it. Nonetheless, though, small dogs do have a lot, have big dental problems. Most of the dental stuff you're going to get at Petco and PetSmart, it's all hype. The bones with the knobs on it and all that, it just doesn't work. I think the flossing, the big thick ropes, if your dog does it, I think they help. I think rawhide shoes do. They do really well too. But most of the stuff is just an income generator for them. What actually, dog may like chewing on the bone. It may look like a bone. It may have knobs. But is it really going to do anything to keep the tartar off? Probably not. The Nyla bones, the real hard plastic ones everybody's familiar with, you see them at the store. Don't ever buy one of those. A lot of that, they're really, really hard and they can crack the back teeth real easy. They have gumma bones, which are softer, so you want to go with something that's going to be softer than the teeth. So that's going to prevent problems right there. I see a lot of people that will have it. I mean, if the dog doesn't chew the Nyla bone that hard, not a big deal. But if they're real aggressive chewers, they're going to fracture those fourth premolars pretty easy on those, something real hard.
For more than a century, Independent Bank has proudly served business owners and communities across Michigan. We focus on each customer individually to emphasize exceptional service, convenient hours, and competitively priced products. Independent Bank, a strong relationship with one goal in mind, your success.
The fresh and tasty deli located inside the Henry Street Health Hut offers a variety of options for every diet. Organic, raw, vegan, vegetarian, gluten, or grain-free. You can sample specialty sandwiches, or you can build your own wrapper salad by choosing from a wide selection of fresh meats, cheeses, veggies, and dressings. From gourmet soups to smoothies, shakes, juices, herbal teas and coffee to mouth-watering desserts. The fresh and tasty deli is here to serve you.
Serving the Fruitport area for over 35 years, Grover Pharmacy offers a full line of vitamins, supplements, and homeopathic medicines, as well as a variety of glucometers, blood pressure kits, baby care items, bandages, and wound care products. They carry school and office supplies, Russell Stover candies, promotional and seasonal items, Hallmark cards, and gifts. Grover Pharmacy, they take time to care about you.
Urinalysis, really important. And then as they get older, 10, 12, again, keeping the weight off, it becomes more important. But you've already been doing that since day one, so you're way ahead of the game. Arthritis isn't going to be quite as bad. And then you get up to 12, 13, and then you have to decide whether or not vaccines are going to be beneficial. Because at some point, they're not going to be beneficial. When you have a 12 to 13-year-old dog, it may be very inappropriate to vaccinate that dog because you've got all the benefit you needed, and now giving vaccines could potentially be harmful. So that's going to be an issue too. You don't want to obviously have an older geriatric dog that doesn't need vaccines, and you don't want to take the chance that by giving them these vaccines that you're going to cause illness by it. So that's always a value judgment because some dogs are going to be that age at 10 and some dogs maybe not 13 or 14. It just all kind of depends on the individual dog. So that, And then going into older age for senior pets, glucosamine, good supplement one, keeping the weight off, and the teeth are going to be the biggest things toward helping them live longer. And then having their blood checked as your veterinarian sees appropriate. Blood and urine. And then whenever I would rather see a problem coming around the corner and know that it's coming than be smacked with it like, oh, I would have had no idea. For dogs with kidney disease and even cats with kidney disease, people typically have not shown up with their dog saying anything's wrong until 90% of the kidneys are damaged. And they're like, the dog's drinking a ton of water. Okay, they lost a lot of weight too. How long have you noticed that? Geez, it's been like it's been like 6 or 8 months ago I noticed that. Well, now 90% of the kidneys are gone. Now I'm kind of in not much I can do. So keeping ahead of the curve is going to be your best way. And if you ask your veterinarian to do a P-check, you shouldn't have to ask to do blood check, because if they get, most veterinarians I know Barb and they're going to ask, hey, your dog's 10 or 12 years old, we need to draw blood, we need to check the liver, kidneys, protein, that's all going to be there. So they're going to do a really, really good job. Just make sure that you're getting that good examination. That's going to be your biggest thing.
A couple questions. I asked Dr. Barb the same thing, and she was focusing on felines, you're on the canines. What is your philosophy, and there's no right or wrong, but what is your philosophy on the holistic approach or people making their own products or their own food for their pets versus going out and buying what's off the shelf or something from their vet?
The biggest thing is when you start to get onto some of those diets, for short term, it's not such a big deal, but for longer term diets, when you start to completely make your own diet, there are so many vitamins and minerals that it's not even anything I would ever do for myself or for my own pets. Because most of the people that end up at the university with dietary problems, their dogs and cats are so messed up because they followed some kind of a new fad or a new diet, and they end up there and their calcium and phosphorus ratio is way off. So I would never tell anybody, go make your own diet. I just would never, it'd just be potentially too dangerous. Okay. So if there was a company that listed a good recipe and all the ingredients were there and available, if they wanted to do it, they'd say, okay, well, that's fine. At least you have something and if it was from a veterinary school that publishes hey, this is a veterinary diet from University of wherever, and you have all the dicalcium phosphate, and you went to the store and you got all the vitamins and minerals. Okay, that's okay as long as there was a board certified veterinary nutritionist that put their signature on the bottom, then I'll be fine with it. But to go out and just do it on your own, long term, I wouldn't recommend anybody do it. There's plenty of good products out there that are perfectly good and balanced that there would be really no need to unless there were some kind of a real bad allergy problem to food.
The other question that I have, and forgive me, you might have addressed it when I was listening and I was coming in and out on the discussion here. I hear you talking about the things that, checking for the urine sample, doing the blood work with the tartar. I guess what I'm looking at is if you were going to talk to a potential pet parent, so that you have a new pet parent and they're looking to shop for a vet. They don't know what to ask a vet to find out if that is a good vet or a good fit for that puppy and a good fit for them. Is there any one question that a new pet parent should ask a vet to find out if that's the right fit for them?
To find out if what's a right fit? That particular practice?
Correct. Meaning if that's a good veterinarian practice or not, because
That's a really hard question. Because it's not just one question. It's several questions. Because in order to ask the right questions, you have to have some basic degree of information that, what am I even getting myself into? They could give you, and you could go to if you didn't know anything, any answer is more than what you know. So that would be a really hard question. Recommendations on people that you know, that you're friends, that you know, and then a lot of self-education would be another thing too. And then that's going to be your biggest thing, because there's just way too many veterinarians out there, and they can all give an answer that sounds good to the uninformed. And doesn't make it bad. It just means that in order to really, there's a lot I don't know about your business. Right. If I asked you and you and you and you, it would all sound good to me, but I don't know the business like you do. You know these other people, and you know, yeah, they do a good job. They're a little different, but they do okay. I don't know that. So unless I investigate and know more of the ins and outs, by talking with somebody, oh, that's how that works, I see. Because for a lot of it, people will come in that are new to our clients, our practice, and say, wait a minute now, why you gotta check my dog's pee? Nobody else ever did that. Are you ripping me off? I mean, come on. I mean, it's $20. I mean, no one else. Who do you think you are? And so it becomes an issue of dollars and cents. And then there's that trust factor as far as, and that's one of the reasons why we do our plans like that. We see the dogs every 6 months, because I don't want to be the only one stepping out there like, okay, well, everybody else kind of steps back here, and why is he the only one doing this? Veterinarians should examine your dogs twice a year. But we're horrible communicators at it, because well, no one else is really recommending exams every 6 months. And if we step out and if we do this, we're going to be the only ones out there doing this. And so it makes people say, then you leave yourself open for people to say, oh God, they want me to come in every 6 months. Nobody else ever did that. It's the right thing.
Culver's Concrete Mixers, the creamiest way to eat a Reese's peanut butter cup. We put as much care into our fresh frozen custard as Reese's puts into its peanut butter cups. Not only do we use family farm fresh dairy, we also use the best vanilla and cocoa beans. Handcrafting each concrete mixer, it creates a perfect blend. Which brings us back to this, the creamiest way to eat a Reese's. Put the spoon in straight and tall, you've got a perfect concrete mixer. Welcome to Delicious.
I've had dozens of people tell me, just cremate me when I die and then throw a big party. I'm sure you've heard someone say that too. I completely get it. Well, I want to help you throw that party. I've got tables and chairs and easels and boards. I've got sound systems and music. I've got caterers and food. And I've got all the people to set it up and break it down when it's all over. So why don't you let us here at Clocks help you with that party so you can focus on what's important, sharing the stories.
Buckwhite Schultz & Associates Incorporated, investment products and services. For more information, call 799-9889 or 866-799-9889.
Yeah, so I guess, did anybody have like specific questions as far as?
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the condition of the dog or animal's coats in terms of if they start seeming more thinner, and also could you address the issue of seasonal allergies and how that could be on the increase?
Seasonal allergies, fairly common problem that we typically see. You know, your dog may have allergies to in the spring, summer, fall, or all year round. And it's just a matter of how long your dog itches for. And typically dogs that have seasonal allergies can lick their front feet, front legs, rub their head, face, or neck on the floor. Any type of a combination of that. Sometimes it's only for a week. We treat short-term, week or a month, we treat with steroids. When it gets into running a season to season to season, we start to think about allergy testing and allergy shots. As far as thinning hair coats, that typically points to like a hormonal problem, typically thyroid problem or endocrine problem, Cushing's disease. That's typically what that kind of points to. allergies to things in the air, that's huge. So, I mean, that's really all there is to say, you know, about that. It just depends on how long the itch is as far as how you want to address it.
Yeah, I guess part of my question was, are there any tips that people should look for in terms of either anticipating it or seeing these things starting to...
Yeah, like I said, you really can't anticipate it per se, except to watch your dog's signs. Are they licking their feet? If you have a white dog, if you have a dog with a white coat like this, if you see their your feet turn kind of like a rust-colored red, that's a sign they're licking way too much. So there's a stain from the saliva. So that's gonna, you've all seen the poodle with the white legs that are now rust-colored red. Yeah, so that's gonna be that. A lot of people think that's normal. I mean, they don't know. And I say, your dog has some really bad allergies. He does. He's always done that. So, yep.
You mentioned the allergy test, the blood test. Do you do that?
Yeah. Yep.
So you don't have to go to Michigan State?
No, I know Dr. Ross, we're down at Michigan State, and he said that this was several years ago, he started working with a company, and he said, their results are so close to mine, he goes, it scares me. And at that time I said, okay, if they're good enough that they're going to scare Ed Rosser, that's good enough for me. So it's draw a sample of blood, send it off to the lab. They say what they're allergic to. They check for trees, grasses, weeds, funguses, molds, mildews, things inside the house, and food. And then so whatever your dog comes up allergic to, then they say these are the recommended things that we want to put in the allergy shots. And they start out on a series of shots, and you just do it right at the house. And you start out like one shot every 4 days. And there's like a specific schedule, this particular amount on this particular day, and this and that. And you build up to like once a month. And I've got 2 dogs, and they get 1 allergy shot per month. And
so it does wean off then.
Yes.
I have a boxer who's allergic to, I think, everything, and I've tried everything and
right.
eliminated everything, and I've done the horrible, the protein mainly diet, trying to eliminate meats and just trying to figure out what is the allergen, and nothing.
Yeah. So typically, how old was he when it all started?
She'll be 3 in the spring, but it started, I would say, when she was probably a year.
Okay. So with allergies, yeah, because are there ear infections or not? Or just?
She does have them, not all the time, not to where it's a chronic thing, but she does get them, her ears will get red. She just scratches until she wants to bleed.
Right.
She won't stop no matter what I've done. Benadryl, I've done some pills from the vet, and steroid-like, and I just don't want to give her 2 a day, every day, I just...
Oh, I think that's, yeah, I wouldn't want to, I certainly wouldn't want to either. Yeah, so allergy testing, the bad thing about allergy testing, you have to be steroid-free for a good couple months before you get accurate results. Otherwise it messes up. It's good. Yeah, so sometimes people come in, their dogs are so bad that I say, okay, your dog is really, really bad. I said, your choice is we can either put the fire out now and make them comfortable, or we can allergy test now and then make them comfortable. And then a lot of people say, yeah, let's do that, because if they haven't had steroids for a couple months, so steroid-free for a couple months, send a sample of blood in, they look to see. And I would say for the people that do it, I mean, as long as they stick with it, I mean, some of these dogs make a dramatic turnaround. They may not fix it 100%, it might fix it 80 or 90%. Yeah, exactly. So it does work, it can work out really, really well. And so the nice thing is it keeps you out of my office, it keeps your dog comfortable, keeps them off steroids, except maybe there may be one short time a year they need it, but if it dramatically reduces it, that's way better. Food allergy is a really big one that we see, and typically that starts when dogs are really, really young. Sometimes as young as 3 to 6, 7 months, but it's typically ear infections. And so 90% of all ear infections are caused by allergies to things in the air and allergies to food.
Well, I did a saliva hair test that a veterinary developed.
Huh?
You can order and do online. I don't know how accurate, but they say it's accurate. But I'm desperate. So
Right.
I did the hair and the saliva, and the list goes on and on and on.
Right. And I know when I go to trade shows, I mean to the conferences, they have a whole ton of different allergy companies that say that their allergy testing is the best. And it's too much for me to figure out which one. I just went with what Dr. Rosser said. He knows what he's talking about way more than I do. Good enough for me. And I've stuck with a company who's worked out really, really, really well. So.
Can you talk at all about gastrointestinal type problems for dogs, worms, or other kinds of things that they may just? I'm thinking in terms of an urban pet owner who may take their dog in the same walk or in the same
Right.
park. Is there a chance that they can pick up pathogens?
Well, like I say, that's why you want to have when you go through your puppy visits, you want to make sure you have your serial stool samples always checked. One stool sample isn't enough. So that's one. So when we see them we check a stool sample each visit they have, and then we check it once a year after that. And then because your dog, if you're walking on the bike path or wherever you go, if people are walking, they don't pick up after their pet. I see it all the time. They can walk through it, get it between their feet, lick it, and then they get worms. So that's one. And that's another reason why you should be on heartworm medication all year round. They typically call it heartworm medication, but really takes care of heartworms and intestinal medication. It used to be everybody started in April and everybody ended in December, and now I just go all year round because you can pick up worms in the wintertime too. So they should be wormed once a month with a heartworm / flea medication / intestinal worm medication. But most veterinarians just still refer to it as a heartworm pill, but realize it does a lot more than that. But they should be on that once a month all year round.
I believe that the true value of a funeral is the gathering together of people and the sharing of stories. Stories of love and honor, respect and memories. We gather together because we as human beings, we need that contact, that emotional connection that we get when we gather together. We gather together at all sorts of times, at birthdays and anniversaries, at graduations, retirements, weddings, and at funerals. And at each and every one of those gatherings, we tell stories. And it's through those stories that we show our love and respect. It's through those stories that we learn and grow. And it's through those stories that we heal. Gather together, share the stories, celebrate a life, heal the heart.
McDonald's Candies. 1064 South Getty Street in Muskegon features an assortment of chocolate-covered nuts and creams, peanut clusters, fudge, seafoam, turtles, cherry cordials, and regular and holiday novelties.
Family-owned and operated, White Lake Nursery has been a full-service power equipment lawn and garden dealer since 1953. Snowblowers, lawn mowers, rototillers, chainsaws, trimmers, and hedge snips. They feature name brands such as Snapper, Toro, Simplicity, and Steel. In addition to all types of landscaping, White Lake Nursery specializes in underground irrigation service and installation. From startup in the spring to winterization in the fall, White Lake Nursery, 1311 East Colby Street in Whitehall.